Ayan na guys, nakahabol tayo kahit papano. Grabe ang traffic, Carmageddon talaga. Parang end of the year ang dating, talaga end of the world. More like ang dating kanina. So, unfortunately, we missed yung 9 p.m. window natin and we're hoping to interview Justice Scarpio dito sa ukol dito sa, basically the whole constitutional order crisis concerns we had. But hopefully we'll have Justice Scarpio soon. I had no idea the traffic would be even worse than I thought. Medyo napatagal lang din ang mga usapan throughout the day. I think we had at least 6 hours today of discussion about every aspect of Philippine politics, on the record, off the record, dun sa isang TV show natin sa One News TV5. Kakalabas din yung safe house natin kanina with Sir Ronald Llamas. Happy birthday, by the way, kay Sir Manny Mugaro. Second edition of his book is immediately out. Congratulations naman. Ito guys, of course, kanina lang sabi ko magpa-post pa lang ako ng ganun. Biglang nakita ko yung may pinost si Senator Trillanes at sabi ko, boom, buya ka siya, kuha mo. Kasi basically, eto na tayo guys, eto na tayo. Gusto ko na mag-congratulate dun sa ating mga kaibigan, ating mga out of nowhere, good governance champions, or yung mga ating mga kaibigan ng champion ng good governance, napaka-anti-corruption, nakakadiri daw kayo, di ba? Sabi nga nung isa, di ba? Ito talaga yung mga natin mga champions natin, mga galit na galit sa corruption na ating mga politiko, mga kaibigan. Ito yung mga kaibigan na parang hindi ko maalala ano ulit yung sinabi nila back in the day. At biglang ngayon guys, galit na galit lahat, nandidiri na yung mga ating mga politiko. Yung isang nga, di ba parang convicted pa. Wala akong sinasabi sa Napoles. Anyway, ito yung sinasabi ko guys Gusto ko talaga mag-congratulate sa ating mga slow clap talaga. Congratulate sa ating mga kaibigan. Yung iba, I never heard a thing from them throughout basically a decade or at least 8 years from 2015 to 2020, even almost 2020, wala akong narinig sa kanila. Biglang lumilitaw out of nowhere. Yung iba naman, galit na galit sa flood control projects. Bigla ngayon. And wait, parang last time I check, parang marami yata tayong flood control projects before even yung kasalukuyan na administration. So tayo naman guys, congratulations! Talagang napakagaling. Exactly as we predicted, yan ang mangyayari. Yan ang nangyari. Ngayon po, ating our most amazing Vice President, yung ating Vice President na talagang forget about Miggy Mango, forget about eto na, pati siya. Pa-investigate natin guys. Lahat galit tayo ngayon Lahat tayo galit. Biglang lahat ay anti-flood control projects. Biglang lahat champions ng good governance. Nakakadiri nga daw, sabi ng isang politiko guys. So, yan ang sinasabi po natin. This is exactly what I've been warning about for a long time. Sabi ko, absolutely, let's go for anti-corruption. But never allow na ma-hijack ito ng ating mga kaibigan na napaka squeaky clean, perfect ang track record pagdating sa kanilang good governance record. Yan ang sinasabi natin. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, guys. This is exactly sinasabi namin. January pa lang sinasabi ko yan. December pa lang, if I'm not saying, sinasabi ko na yan Push for anti-corruption. But make sure you're consistent. Make sure may nasabi ka rin back in the day. Hindi lang biglang kahapon. Biglang make sure hindi ka lang naging overnight hero. Johnny come lady. Biglang na. Diba? Yan ang sinasabi. At most importantly guys, make sure no matter how good your intention is, no matter gaano ka-pure yung intention mo, make sure hindi ito gagamitin ng mga ating mga kaibigan na obviously alam natin may iba-ibang agenda. And this is exactly what I've been warning about, guys. Because we saw back in the day, this is not the first time, guys, na we're dealing with flood controls, nor is this the first time, guys, we're dealing with anti-corruption sentiments. Matagal na po yung itong anti-corruption sentiments and it's absolutely legitimate, valid sentiment. Right? Yes, may mahaba tayong mga analysis, writings, academic works about how other factors also explain bakit tayo napag-iwanan ng mga ating mga kapitbahay. We talked about industrial policy sa iba't ibang platforms. We had different guests here to discuss about trade policy, to discuss about yung mga failures na ating technocrats, the lack of imagination and horizons na ating mga usual local economists. Pinag-usapan natin lahat yan. But guys, I absolutely also agree. Now, we have every reason na magalit tayo. Talagang kung may curb your enthusiasm, dapat meron din tayong curb your greed. Absolutely, guys, because the kind of corruption, unfortunately, we have is seemingly the worst type of corruption. Hindi siya yung tinatawag na access corruption. Hindi siya tinatawag na yung oxymoronic na efficient corruption. Hindi ito yung tipong corruption na napunta sa building industries, building factories, building jobs. Because that's the kind of corruption we see in yung other booming economies, whether it's Vietnam, China, back in the day, South Korea. Kung updated kayo dun sa scandal about the Samsung family, napa-impeach pa nga yung isang presidente nila, Park Geun-hye, involving supposed, alam mo na, di ba? May mga backdoor deals daw, mga ganyan. You know, corruption scandals are all over the place. Tignan niyo yung Malaysia, yung 1 MDB, billions and billions and dollars of corruption scandals. So, absolutely, guys, it's not a question of whether tayo lang may corruption. It's the type of corruption na meron tayo. And absolutely, I am 100% na dapat magalit tayo with the worst kind of corruption and this kind of curb your greed problem na meron talaga tayo, guys. Parang understood na, unfortunately, magkakaroon ng kung ano ng mga kababalakan. Pero guys, etong level, di ba? If we were to believe some of the reports, guys, 70, 80%, 90% ng budget sa isang proyekto ay napupunta kung saan-saan. Yung SOP ay hindi na Mr. 20%. Alam mo, sa Malaysia may term sila, Mr. 20%. Oh. Pero ito parang mukhang Mr. 90%, Mr. 80%, Mr. 60%, diba? So, absolutely, guys, talagang dapat titignan natin flood control projects. But, you have to make sure, guys, dapat comprehensive ang analysis natin. Kaya nga ako, guys, in fairness, itong ka-GMRC natin, back in the day, we had some back and forth on certain issues, especially GMRC-related issues. But, in fairness, if there's one thing I'll give to Senator Lacson, he never said na etong admin lang, etong Congress lang. Sabi na, tignan natin lahat ng flood control projects. Because guys, tignan na naman kay horror. 1 trillion daw ang potentially ginastos natin throughout different administration, di ba? Sa flood control project na yan. So guys, I'm absolutely for right timing and then also the right method. Right timing and right method. Because kung hindi siya right timing and right method, nako po, kung saan mapunta tong usapan na to. Ito in fairness kay Senator Lacson, he mentioned we spend over 1 trillion pesos on flood control over the last decade. So you can go all the way to the Aquino administration even, right? Kaya sabi ko, yes, tignan din natin yung Aquino administration. Kamusta naman yung flood control plans nila? And in fact, kanina lang, meron tayong mga updates on this issue na even yung mga flood control plans ng Aquino administration tinitignan ngayon. Now, I know marami tayong mga kaibigan na natutuwa dahil recently na-interview yung dating DPWH Secretary si Secretary Season na ang konti ng ginastos nila sa flood control kumpara ngayon. But then again, that opens up a whole series of discussion which I'm gonna go to, which is yung concern natin with underspending during the Aquino administration. But also, okay, konti ang sinaspend mo, pero effective ba sila? Di ba? Kaya nga tama yung sinasabi ni Vico Soto Hindi mo titingnan dapat yung surplus lang. It's not about saving It's about efficiency. It's about ROI. It's about productivity. Okay lang gumastos ka sa mga proyekto, pero dapat, di ba? Sana gumagana yung mga proyekto niya. So it's not a question of how many or how much, but if talagang alam natin may SOP dyan na 40%, 60%, 70%, then scale matters. And when you talk about scale, guys, ang flood control project hindi ginagawa overnight. It takes months, it takes years, di ba? So, ang hindi ko maintindihan ngayon is, bakit yung ibang kaibigan natin na biglang galit na galit sa flood control projects, na biglang champions ng good governance, na biglang dining-diri sila sa corruption, parang walang sinabi masyado back in the day. Because just to put things into context, no? Again, as I said, we should push for anti-corruption, but A, you should cover multiple administration para hindi unfair. B, dapat ito conducted by people na walang kinalaman sa any of this administration or didn't work in any of this administration high level at the very least. At the very least. Kaya kung ikaw ay nagtrabaho sa itong admin na to, tapos ang gusto mo lang pag-usapan flood control ng kabilang admin, pero wala kang sinasabi sa ganitong admin, ay may problema tayo. Lalong-lalo na kung ganito po ang sitwasyon natin, 'di ba? So again, so kaya nga sabi ko, kudos kay Senator Lacson, at least tinignan niya throughout different administration and different times. Hindi pwede na isang administration ang titignan mo, or dalawang administration lang, or isang taon lang, or dalawang taon lang, di ba? So, if you look at it, ito guys, ito yung report, yung final SONA ni Digong, they had 11,340 projects spread all over the country. This is from SONA ni Digong, yung huling SONA niya. So actually, hindi pa yung final number. By some estimate, lumampas pa sa 12,000 yung final number. Diba? Again, you can check this out on your own, guys. All of these materials are available. I'll put the link down there. You can check it out. Yan ang problema natin, mga kaibigan. Yan ang problema natin, mga kaibigan. Nang biglang meron tayong ganitong situation, na biglang galit na galit sa flood control. Bakit ganun? Di balikan natin. Kamusta naman ang track record natin? Ilan ang projects ang natapos natin? At pag-aralan natin, gaano ba ka-effective itong 11,000, 12,000, depending on different reports if you look at it. Again, you can Google it on your own, but this one I'm referencing is the 5-year infrastructure development highlights of PRRD's State of the Nation address. This was delivered July 27, 2021. July 7, 2021, nakatapos na ng more than 11,000 flood control projects ang Duterte admin. Guys, come on. So for flood prevention, mitigation, control, the DPWH, this is by 2021, completed a total of 11,340 projects spread all over the country. 7,782 sa Luzon, 1,752 in Visayas, and 1,806 in Mindanao. Kaya again, dun sa mga ating kaibigan na biglang nagpapa-audit, medyo concern na concern. Kamusta naman ang DPWH projects back in the day during Digong? Why not pag-aralan natin itong 11,000, actually more than 12,000 based on some accounts that I've seen, no? Again, you can check this on the website of DPWH. Kung ayaw nyo maniwala sa Grok, okay lang sa akin yan. I-google yung yourself. So that's why I brought this out. So of course, kung tinatamad kayo, madali naman i-ano ng AI yan, because the data is completely out there, right? The data is very available. So you can actually see a breakdown year by year under different administrations, especially under, so if you look at the past decades, sinong pinakagumastos? Diba? I think, or pinakadaming numero. So kung tinatamad kayo mag-research, i-group nyo yan, nakalagay. Ito yung allocation based on DPWH data, 671 billion nung 2016, 123 billion nung 2019, 102 billion 2022, 128 billion nung that's 2022, 102 billion 2021, 90 billion 2022, 91 billion 2019, 123 billion 2018, 73 billion 2017. Again, but as I said, kung ayaw maniwala sa Grok, okay lang yan. Check nyo lang yung mismo website ng DPWH. Lalabas talaga lahat yan, guys. So, yun ang sinasabi ko. So, biglang nagmamaganda yung ibang kaibigan natin na ka-DDS. Ito na talagang sorry na lang. I have to say, yung mga kaibigan natin na napakalaki ng taas-taas ng position ng panahon ni Digong. At ngayon, galit na galit sa flood control project. So, ako, simple lang naman tanong ko kamusta naman yung flood control nyo back in your day, di ba? Why not study all of them? Di ba? Para kompleto tayo, di ba? Kasi lahat naman tayo, guys, nandidiri tayo sa corruption Nakakadiri, di ba? Nakakadiri nga, sabi ng isang napakahusay natin na senador, nakadiri daw kayo noong August 19. Sabi yung pinag-usapan, okay, sige, biglang galit tayo ngayon. Alright, okay, pag-usapan natin. Kamusta naman yung 11,340 projects finished by 2021 pa lang and more than 12? Yan ang sinasabi ko, guys. Kaya, for me, go for it. Go for anti-corruption. But, consistent tayo. At ako, wait lang, bago maging champion ka ng good governance, kamusta naman ang track record natin? Ano bang sinasabi natin ng panahon ni Digong? Ano bang sinabi natin ng panahon ni Pinoy? Actually, we can even start from the very, very beginning. Wala namang akong problema dyan. I mean, we can go all the way back if you want. Wala akong problema. But for me, at the very least, go across different administration. O ayaw mo na Marcos versus Duterte, di sama mo na rin si Aquino. Kaya maganda rin yung nangyari kanina kasi hiningi na rin pati yung detalye ng Aquino era plans. Okay, good. Dapat ganun, guys. At hindi dapat yung mga Aquino admin erang execs ang tatanungin or Duterte era execs ang tatanungin or mga sec. Dapat ang tatanungin yung mga tao na hindi involved in any of the three administration, especially at the senior level, right? Especially if directly may kinalaman ka sa management of state resources, etc. So, kaya ako, natuwa ako, sabi kanina, di ba? Aquino admin flood control plan not turned over to current DPWH execs yet kanina yung report. So, for me, okay, let's go. Let's go all the way to Pinoy. Why not? Why not? Diba? Para ano tayo? Let's look at Pinoy. Let's look at Digong. And don't give me this nonsense na, hindi, kaya lang natin ngayon. Guys, if you want to do it properly, then do it properly. Go through different administration. And, when I say properly, huwag mo iwanan sa mga politiko, lalong-lalo na yung mga politiko na walang moral ascendancy whatsoever. Or worse, nag-work sa ibang admin tapos walang sinasabi doon sa admin na yan. Or worse, sinasakyan lang itong issue na to para naman tanggalin natin. Para naman makalusot doon sa sarili nila mga kamigi-manggoan, di ba? So, yun ang sinasabi natin, guys. It's very important that if we're gonna do anti-corruption, we do it properly. Otherwise, this is gonna explode in 10, 15, 20 different ways. Right? Otherwise, this is gonna go in 10 million different wrong directions. Otherwise, ma-hijack ito, guys. Ma-hijack ito. Ma-hijack ito ng kung sino-sino dyan. Or, biglang, mang iba dyan, biglang good governance champion. Pero ang tanong, kamusta naman ang ano natin dyan, di ba? So, yun ang sinasabi ko, guys. Kaya nga, in fairness, I like that Senator Lacson talked about multiple administration para naman fair tayo. Now, just to be clear about this, ako, for me, mahabang usapan na ERAP, Arroyo, etc. Arroyo, I mean, 10 years din yan. But you know, let's just start for the sake of, let's say Aquino, right? Aquino administration. You know, honestly, guys, one of my biggest problems with the Aquino administration, and I've written on this many, many times, is it really doesn't have a very good also track record on infrastructure. Like, yes, agree ako na when it comes to issues ng mga anomalya sa government expenditures, although we had Justice Carpio on this show, we'll have him again, we can talk about again yung PDAF among others. But in fairness naman, to be fair, diba? If you look at the actual numbers, objective analysis, hindi yung mga kung sino-sino mga kadidiyas natin ng mga vlogger or experts na biglang political analyst. Anyway, if you look at actually objective analysis, yes, you could say there was an improvement on the quote-unquote good governance front during the Aquino administration. But guys, let's not forget, isa sa mga dahilan na nanalo si Digong nung isa sa mga dahilan na nanalo si Digong nung 2016. Naalala niyo, guys, ang dami natin mga problema. Yung tanimbala. Although yung tanimbala, I would say, baka parang mukhang sabotage yan eh. Suspicious yung nangyari. The timing also before elections. Look at yung mga, ito, inquiry na yan, ha? Progress, liberal yan, di ba? Rickety trains, aging airport spoil Aquino's parade. This was written in 2016 June. So basically, guys, what I'm saying here is that you have to look at across different administration to see bakit tayo nandito. Diba? You have to understand bakit tayo umabot dito. For me, isa sa mga pinaka-shortcomings ng Duterte administration, of Aquino administration was underspending. And they really started late with their infrastructure project. Now, to be fair, I know the intention was good, or at the very least, the intention was to make sure na hindi sila madadamay sa kung ano-anong corruption. Yung the Napoles issue, PDAF, iba yon, ibang branch yan. And we're talking about the executive here during the Aquino administration. But I think the consensus among all the leading experts is that masyadong delayed yung mga projects ng Pinoy administration. And at the same time, there were huge problems. Yung MRT breakdown, tanimbala, worsening traffic. So, it was more of an omission, crime of omission than crime of commission. In the sense that ang daming hindi nagawa na dapat ginawa. Now, to be fair to the Aquino administration, they had a lot of savings because yun nga, daan matuwid, responsable with fiscal policy. I'm trying to be as fair as possible. But there was a lot of delays in infrastructure projects. I remember very well when I talk at the Bloomberg Forum. There was the also World Economic Forum back in the day, towards the end of the Aquino administration. The concerns was, where are the infrastructure projects? I remember very well a friend of mine who was a longtime advisor of President Jokowi of Indonesia, and I would go in and out Philippines. I would visit Jakarta, etc. Yung Jakarta, by this time, they were building underground metro, new bus stations, public transport. Although, kaya horror pa rin ng traffic sa Indonesia, but things are moving. Tapos nung tanong ng friend ko sa akin, kamusta naman si Pilipinas? Parang wala akong nakita masyadong mga projects. Ganun. So, now, again, I understand when you talk about big ticket infrastructure projects, matagal yan. Kunyari, underground metro, ilan na, 2015 pa na MOU yan ni Pinoy and Abe, and then 2017 and 18 if I'm not mistaken na-approve finally nag-start nung Digong time, but we're still building it, right? Now I get it, absolutely. We're talking about multiple administration potentially when it comes to some projects. Kaya sabi ko, hindi pwede isang administration lang. But having said that, you know, if you look at our infrastructure woes, dun talaga nagsimula eh. Because really during Pinoy's time, we were doing well economically. And I think that's the time na we should have taken a little bit more risk with starting big ticket projects. Para kung sana nag-start tayo 2012, 2013, by 2015 and 16, at the very least people could see some changes. At the very least people could see, right, some development, etc. Diba? Now, at dito, swerte si Digong. Because by the time na pumasok si Digong, dahil ang daming savings nung Aquino admin, dahil napaka play safe basically ng Aquino admin, which is not good in terms of politics, kaya nga ang daming hindi natutuwa. And then, as I said again, yung tanimbala issue. If I'm not mistaken, yung mga vloggers katulad ni Maharlika, etc., pumasok lang naman sila sa eksena doon sa inis nila sa tanimbala issue eh. Right? So ako naman, again, I've been writing on these issues for the past 10-15 years, diba? So, if you look at it, this was my article. So I initially supported actually more aggressive infrastructure spending, whoever is the next Filipino president. So nung and somehow I contributed to the idea of build, build, build. You can check me out. Andun ako isa sa speakers ng build, build, build. I'm not saying I'm the only guy who thought about it, but I just felt sana naman kaysa yung mga purong mga budol, drug war at kung anong kasyungan sa foreign policy, sana focus lang tayo sa infrastructure. Anyway, ang daming savings ni Pinoy time. Economy is doing well, ang dami natin resources, sana ilagay natin dyan, diba? And that's why actually in 2016, 2017, if you look at this Forbes magazine article I had, I talked about itong massive infrastructure development needs natin dahil ang dami natin dyan. So, you see, our writings, reflect all of that. So this was my article, Build, Build, Build. This is 2018 na pala by this time, no? So, ang swerte ni Digong kasi ang dami niyang pera by the time na pumasok siya dahil ang daming savings or underspending, some would say, during the administration of Pinoy, diba? So, I'm just looking at some of the numbers I was discussing here. So, as a share of our GDP, almost na double yung spending natin ng infrastructure. So, ang daming projects talaga nung panahon ni Digong dahil ang daming savings nung panahon ni Pinoy. And then, palpak pa yung methodology nila relatively. Yung private-public partnership schemes, marami rin hindi nag-take off rightly. So, I took all of those things into consideration. And then there was a change in the modality of infrastructure spending and raising money during the next admin. So, yun yung sinasabi ko, guys. Walang ba't tinanggal yung name ko dyan? Ako yung nagsulat niyan. Anyways, you can just go to Forbes website and then you can check out. I mean, marami tayong sulat ukol sa issue na yan, no? But this was one of the issues that I focused on. So you're talking about really a huge amount of money here really being spent, guys, dito sa mga relevant issues na. So, anyway, ito. Labas ko to. Okay. Anyway, ito. So, andito siya. Anyways, it's under my name. You just put Haydar, Richard Haydar sa Forbes. Go to the website, lalabas yan. Anyway, all the details are there. Ito. Kasi kanina, walang yan, tinanggal yung pangalan ko. Ito. Ito. So, I wrote this 7 years ago, right? Although, of course, the research was 8, 9, 10 years ago before it went into that. Ito. So, yung nga, bilang, ba't andiyan siya pero wala yung pangalan ko? Ito. So anyway, what I'm saying is that hindi katulad ng mga Johnny Come Latest na biglang ang daming alam sa mga bagay-bagay ngayon at saka mga ganyan. Okay, this is similar lang pala. But anyway, so I was also looking at the investment booms, I was looking at the transformation. Ang daming mga factors na tinitingnan natin. Anyway, I wrote a lot because I really genuinely realized we need to really catch up on infrastructure spending. If you look at the Asian Development Bank report, for instance, more than a decade ago, ang concern din talaga nila na ang laki ng infrastructure spending needs ng Philippines. So anyway, just to be clear about this, yes, tama, rising tiger tayo, panon pa lang ni Pinoy. Again, let's get the number right, the chronology right. So we had the momentum. We had increasingly the resources. Pero yun nga sayang hindi natin na-leverage yung panon ni Pinoy. So again yung mga ka-DDS natin, ng mga technocrats, naging tiger lang tayo. No, actually this was 2013 pa lang. Panon pa lang ng Pinoy, we're already being called Asia's rising tiger economy, right? Again, I don't want to say thanks to Pinoy lang. Of course, thanks sa atin lahat. So, literally sa lahat ng Pinoy, dahil lahat naman tayo nagkita. But I'm just saying, let's get some of the facts right here, diba? Sabi nga ng kabilang channel, facts first. So again, this is 2013. The head of World Bank Philippines said Philippines is Asia's right. So we had the growth, we had the momentum, we had all of those things, pero yun nga, hindi, honestly, lack of political will and decisiveness. And I would say, I wanted to say creativity, but then PDAF comes to my mind, and then mahabang usapan na naman yan. But I'm trying to be fair. I think there was an effort naman to expedite with, hindi PDAF, sorry, DAP, sorry, Disbursement Acceleration Program. PDAF is, kasi puro flood ko na isip ko, yung DAP, Disbursement Acceleration Program, there was an attempt. But what I'm saying is that I think anyone who's objective knows na kulang talaga tayo nung time na yun. Kaya nga, you will even have, Philippine Daily Inquirer, which is not necessarily an anti-liberal, anti-Aquino publication, by the end of his term saying, rickety trains, aging airports, basically lack of infrastructure development, yun yung isa sa maging pitfalls at saka naging problem 2016. Kaya nga si Digong, all he had to say is, pag ako nanalo dahil sa political will, ayusin ko lahat ng traffic, 3 to 6 months, which obviously turned out as even more budol, right, than yung sinasabi nila na finished drugs in how many 3 to 6 months din, diba? Anyway, so what I'm trying to say here is that that's why you have to have a longitudinal understanding of these issues. Saan nagsimula? Or saan dapat tayo magsimula? As I said, we can go all the way back to the colonial era if you want. But at the very least, sabi ko, tingnan natin yung isang dekada. Diba? So, by the time Digong was there, ang dami na natin resources and pera. And kaya nga, ang dami rin natin pera para gumawa ng mga ganitong mga flood control and all. That's what I'm talking about. Kaya ako, for me talaga, napaka-problematic when you have certain people na biglang ngayon ay concerned sa flood control spending out of nowhere, or biglang lumitaw lang ng isang taon, or sa parang, wait, nasaan kayo all those time during Digong? Or gusto lang nila mag-focus sa isang admin. Ako sabi ko, all three admins, para fair. And hindi dapat tayo magpapadala, guys. Hindi dapat tayo magpapadala sa mga politiko na questionable yung kanilang agenda dito. Diba? Yung iba, na gusto maging hero. Pero ayaw nila tignan yung panahon na sila yung nasa poder. Hindi pwede yan. Yung iba naman, hindi ko lang, gusto maging hero din, na biglang lumitaw out of nowhere. Yung iba naman, para makalusot doon sa kanilang mga sariling skandalo, gusto nila pumasok. Yung iba naman, they have political scores, right, to settle. Hindi na natin kailangang pangalanan ng mga yan. I think it's easy to connect the dots, diba? But it's not even about personality. It's for me, it's not about X, Y, and Z. Ito ay tendency na nakita natin all around the world. Kaya nga, I talked about the case in Brazil. I really suggest guys to check the case of Brazil, yung Operation Car Wash. So there were legit investigation about this massive corruption scandal, Operation Car Wash. But next thing you know, na-hijack siya ng mga politically interested people. So yung mga people nila sa Department of Justice nila na may sariling interest, right? May sariling interest to bring down yung leftist party. Next thing you know, but yung mga centrist natanggal rin kasi nadamay din sila. Next thing you know, until si Bolsonaro na lang natira, di ba? I mean, like, and then later on, napansin nila, may mali din pala yun dun sa investigation kasi pinolitikan naman ng kabilang. I think it was a mess. It was a total mess. So I really suggest people to check that out. And if you're more documentary-minded, I really suggest, nasa Netflix yata, Age of Democracy yata. It's a very good documentary. It looks at the case of Brazil. and how na-weaponize yung anti-corruption. I think that's the best Age of Democracy. Yeah. This is a very, very good documentary kasi insider's account yan of how basically na-weaponize yung anti-corruption investigation. That's basically my point today. We should fight against corruption, but we should do it in a way na hindi ma-weaponize ng self-interested, questionable characters or Johnny-come-latest. And at the same time, guys, we have to also make sure this is done properly. And we look at not only one administration, we look at least at one decade, and we look at, especially yung isang admin ang pinakamaraming projects, tignan natin yan, di ba? Kaya ako, ang mungkahi ko talaga dito is, sana, gumawa tayo ng, I don't know, a national task force or a special investigation body na hindi man by anyone who has served at a senior level in any of this current administration. Kasi obviously that raises immediately questions of either conflict of interest or paepal or palaying as we say in Ilocano, or worse, right? So my suggestion is maybe get a couple of technocrats, people from different civil society groups, people with relevant expertise, na para alam natin guys, unang-una, honestly, like I could think about someone like Ma'am Mendoza, right? Heidi Mendoza. Maybe get Heidi Mendoza. Kasi see, Heidi Mendoza, in fairness to her, in the case of Heidi Mendoza, she didn't work for any administration. She worked for our, basically, civil servant siya. I suggest guys, check that out. The Edge of Democracy is fantastic documentary. It shows you guys, ang dali i-weaponize yung mga anti-corruption investigations and corruption scandals ng worst kinds of people to push for worst kinds of agenda and all of that. So very, very important. So let's fight against corruption, but let's do it properly. Maybe a national task force, a special investigation body. Let it be headed by someone like Heidi Mendoza, someone, a civil servant, my expertise sa auditing, or let it be led by a kind of, I don't know, a commission composed of people na who never worked with a specific administration, or alam mo naman na wala silang bahit na utang na loob or anything to any of the recent presidents, and then we work it from there. Otherwise, if we do it wrong, kung saan tayo mapunta. And just to tell you that we're actually, just to tell you what I was been warning about, just look at how many very questionable people are suddenly sinasakyan itong issue ng flood control projects. At yung isa nga, biglang pa-investigate yung mga congressman yan kasi ako yung inanan nila, di ba? Di ba? I mean, come on guys. Hindi naman tayo pinanak kahapon di ba? Alam naman natin ang pwede mga mangyari dito. So, this is what I've been warning about over the past year. Sabi ko, ingat talaga tayo. Let's do this properly. Let's look at Marcos admin, but let's look at Duterte. Let's go all the way to Aquino. Let's look at all of these projects. Right? Lalong-lalo na kung yung isa, lampas sa 11,000 ang natapos nilang infrastructure projects. Anyways, these are all facts. You can check it out there. All the facts are there. All the links I can post it there. You can check it out on your own. And tell me what is wrong with not trusting people who clearly, have an agenda. To just focus on this side of the equation rather than that side of the equation because either they work in a previous administration and another sense, or they have every reason na hindi mapunta sa kanilang attention or ma-deflect yung attention. Alam na natin yan, guys. We don't need to force the point. So, I don't know. I mean, Heidi Mendoza, someone na civil servant, accounting background, auditing background, maybe, I don't know, bring in Singaporean international auditing body to do it. There's so many ways to do it. Thanks to AI, analytics, ang dami natin ways to go through all the data that we have, all the projects that we have, and we can do a proper analysis. Kayang-kaya yan, guys. In the age of analytics and AI, kayang-kaya to go through all of that and then get someone na non-partisan, or at the very someone who didn't work at the senior level in any of the current administrations to run it properly. At yun ang mungkahi talaga natin. Nakataon na, if BBM is the president now, if he really means it, if he's really sincere about it, go ahead, sir. Do it. Because this is what we need, guys. Otherwise, ma-weaponize ito. And next thing you know, change topic na. At alam naman natin, gustong-gusto ng tao ng change topic. Speaking of change topic, guys, sayang, hindi ko dinala yung Nakita niyo yung nag-change tone, yung boyfriend niya. Yan ba yan? Yung mga kamaga natin dyan. Biglang kahapon, napakaganda daw yung jacket ni Zelensky, di ba? Biglang bati sila, change tone din sila. Hindi lang palang mga kadidiyas natin, tsaka bati mga kamaga rin natin, change tone bigla sa mga bagay-bagay. But anyway, that's what I'm saying, guys. If you're not vigilant, if you're not smart, if you're not thinking about the bigger picture, nako po, kung saan tayo mapunta. At yun ang dapat avoid natin. On that note, maraming salamat guys. Pasensya na, we missed the window kanina. I was hoping to have Justice Scorpio on our show, but we'll hope to have him soon. I'm also trying to have Heidi Mendoza on the show. And by the way, I suggested her not because I'm interviewing, it's actually the other way around. I thought, why not interview her? Because I thought about her as someone na hindi nag-work sa any specific administration, civil servant, auditing expert, and I think someone who definitely deserves more and more um, basically, more people have to pay attention to her legacy, to her advocacy, and what more she can bring sa ating demokrasya for the purpose of transparency and accountability. On that note, thank you very much. God bless, guys, and talk to you soon. Oh, by the way, parang balita ko kasi mga tabad na nagano sa atin, pinapaano tayo. Sablay-sablay pa yung petition nila, medyo nag-respond natin. Anyway, alright guys, on that note, thank you very much guys. Maraming salamat. Mamaya na tayo mga sir. We'll have time for that. But, you get what I'm saying, right? Ito yung sinasabi ko nung January, last year pa yata ko sinasabi ko, nako, ingat tayo, ma-hijack itong issue na ito. Gagamitin ng kung sino-sino dyan para magpapogi or worse, para magpa-deflect. At yun ang dapat hindi mangyari. Kaya dapat vigilant talaga tayo guys. Otherwise, kung saan ako punta. And the fact na mga kamigi-mango natin, bigla ngayon ay concern sa flood control, ay alam na natin ang nangyari dito. Alright? On that note, thank you very much. God bless and talk to you soon.